All right, today we're diving into some of the most intense feedback ever written down, 4 deeply symbolic letters from the ancient book of Revelation. We're going to decode them by looking at them through a really modern lens, as a kind of performance review from the heavens.
I mean, seriously, just imagine that for a second. Forget your yearly check-in with your boss. What if you got a review from a cosmic, all-seeing perspective? That's exactly the framework for these ancient letters. They are, for all intents and purposes, heavenly performance reviews sent to communities living under some serious pressure.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack the formula behind this heavenly performance review. Then we'll look at 3 communities that got some pretty mixed feedback. After that, we'll meet the 1-star performer of the group. And we'll wrap it all up by exploring the incredible prize that was on the table for those who passed the test.
Now, you might think these letters are just a jumble of cryptic visions, but what's so fascinating is that they're not random at all. Nope. They follow a surprisingly consistent and clear pattern. And once you see that formula, the messages just click into place. Here it is, the 4-step playbook. Pretty much every letter starts with a commendation, some praise for what the community's doing right. But then comes the rebuke, a really sharp critique of where they're messing up. That's followed by a direct call to action, basically a command to get back on track. And finally, every letter closes with a unique promise, a spectacular reward for those who can overcome their challenges.
Okay, so let's put this formula to the test with our first few case studies. We're going to start with 3 communities that were doing some things incredibly well, but they also had some pretty major blind spots. These are the ones who got what we definitely call a mixed review.
This table lays it all out for us. First up, you've got Ephesus. These guys got praise for their hard work and for being sticklers for correct doctrine. Awesome, right? But they got rebuked for losing their passion, their first love. It's like they had a perfect instruction manual, but had completely forgotten why they were building the thing in the first place. Then there's Pergamum. This group gets major props for holding on to their faith in what was called an incredibly hostile city. I mean, where Satan has his throne. Yikes. But they were criticized for tolerating teachings that were leading people into sin. So they were personally strong, but they kind of let a bad element fester in their community. And finally, Thyatira. Now, these guys were actually praised for getting better and better over time. More love, more faith, more service. Great. The problem? Their tolerance went way too far. They were letting a false prophet, given the symbolic and very notorious nickname Jezebel, lead people completely astray. You see the pattern, right? In each case, a potential strength was hiding a really dangerous weakness.
But now we get to a complete outlier. Among all these reviews, one of them stands out because it has 0 criticism. None. This is the church in Smyrna, and believe me, their performance review is unlike any of the others.
This slide just captures their situation so perfectly. On the one hand, the letter acknowledges their reality on earth. They are suffering, and they are desperately poor. But from the heavenly point of view, the script is totally flipped. That suffering, that poverty, is seen as a kind of spiritual currency that has made them incredibly wealthy. It's a really powerful paradox.
So, since there's no critique, the message for them is simple and intense. It's a command to endure what's coming next. They are explicitly warned about persecution, about being thrown in prison, even about death. But the promise is just monumental. If you can be faithful through all of that, you'll be rewarded with the ultimate prize, the victor's crown of life itself.
And this brings us to the final crucial piece of our 4-part formula. Every single one of these letters, whether it was full of praise or packed with criticism, it ends with a promise. A unique, highly symbolic prize is offered up to the one who is victorious. And this connects all these different communities with a shared, ultimate hope.
And just look at how poetic and imaginative these rewards are. Ephesus, the church that lost its first love, is promised a return to the paradise they'd forgotten. Smyrna, the community that was facing physical death, is promised they won't be touched by the second death. Pergamum gets this mysterious hidden manna and a white stone with a secret new name on it. And Thyatira is offered authority and the morning star. Each prize is just dripping with symbolism, tailored perfectly for the journey each community was on.
So when you zoom out, the template is crystal clear and incredibly powerful. You've got praise, you've got critique, you have a call to hang in there, and it all culminates in the promise of victory. It's this timeless rhythm of accountability and, ultimately, hope.
Which of course leaves us with one last big question. If this 4-part formula is a kind of timeless template for evaluation, what would a heavenly performance review of our world look like today? What would be our commendation? And maybe more importantly, what would be our rebuke?